Rian Johnson, what the fuck did you do? I'm just gonna, instead of holding it back at the very end of this review, I'm gonna tell you straight up in a couple of sentences why this movie does not work, or the whole, just wrapping it up in a bow, telling you why it's a failure. And that is knowing that what was the point? What was the point of the original trilogy after watching The Last Jedi? Where the Resistance is at, where the First Order is at, is basically the original trilogy. Critics love this film. Audiences are split after watching this film. I'm not going to bash the whole thing, because there's absolutely beautiful moments, especially moments with Luke Skywalker, especially filming wise, scenery, the salt planet was absolutely gorgeous. But this film failed to capitalize on J.J. Abrams' setup. I forgave The Force Awakens because it was playing it safe, and he kind of got to play it safe coming back from the prequels. Is Force Awakens amazing? No, it's not. It's a rehash. I had problems with The Force Awakens. With this film, there's some great moments, but it's butchered by Rian Johnson's ego, by his thinking that moving it somewhere else for originality, when there wasn't really too much originality in this film. If you think about it, his writing in this film is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. I really like a lot of things he was trying to do. I get what he was trying to do, and I get that I was bitching and complaining about The Force Awakens and I want originality in The Last Jedi. But you don't throw away a lot of the lore, a lot of what made Star Wars. Because if you throw that away and you try to do something different, which I applaud, but yet you don't keep the same things that you need to keep to continue for it to be a Star Wars film, we have a problem. All right, we have a major Houston. We have a problem. The Last Jedi absolutely fails on Mark Hamill himself. It fails to really. The Luke Skywalker is my favorite character, and how they killed Han Solo in The Force Awakens. I get it. Harrison Ford didn't want to be there. I really did think that they needed at least Han Solo for at least one more film, but it was bad enough that we didn't get that Han and Luke scene together. That's where J.J. Abrams dropped the ball. Where Rian Johnson drops the ball is really having Luke be very a crybaby, not really be up to anything at all. And when he is up to something, it works, but then it doesn't work. Mark Hamill does a good job of what he is given. He has been telling people in interviews that he didn't really agree with Rian Johnson, what he envisioned in Luke Skywalker, what he's done, and that's not the way I really pictured Luke. If you really know his character, you know the arc that he had, and it really just feels like kind of a letdown, and really feels like, yes, I get what Rian Johnson was trying to do, trying to say that Luke Skywalker is not this god, he is just a normal human being, but then again, some of the things that Luke does is very questionable, and you just say, like, that wouldn't be him at this point in his life. I get he's heartbroken, and if it is him at this point of his life, we don't actually see why he became what he is right now. That's the problem. We don't see that. We don't see why he is beaten down, why he's bitter, and why he doesn't want nothing to do with training Rey. As for Rey, there was really, she was there, but she wasn't there, which is crazy. There's a lot of great things, especially with her connection with Kylo Ren in the film, but man, was she she really did nothing in the film. She really didn't progress. She really didn't learn too much of anything. She just really made a connection with Kylo Ren that maybe goes somewhere in the third film. But there was really nothing. She stalled. I felt like she was moving in a snail's pace with her character development. She gained the ability to like really learn about the Force, but that's really about it. There's nothing moving forward for Rey. As for Kylo Ren, I think Adam Driver did a great job as Kylo Ren. I really don't hate this character, which is great because I thought I was going to really hate him. He does a good job of what he's given, and I think Kylo Ren is conflicted. I think the audience is conflicted as much as Kylo Ren is. The way they did Snoke, the way they had Snoke in this film was terrible. Snoke in The Force Awakens, he was mysterious. We want to know more about him. He was barely even in The Force Awakens. In this film, they really just crapped all over that character. As for Poe, I think they did Poe great. I think the opening scene of this film was absolutely beautiful. I think it was great. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Rogue One. I think seeing Poe, actually his pilot abilities, was absolutely amazing. I think Poe was one of my favorite characters coming out of this film. I think he is the only one that learns a lesson in the film, which is great. I think Leia, Carrie Fisher's last performance, was great as well. I do think Rian Johnson dropped the ball. I like the idea of her and her powers, but I really hate a lot of the imagery and what she does during the film. Overall, I think the soundtrack was kind of a letdown. I was kind of expecting a little bit more new music involved with John Williams, but I kind of got the same kind of thing going on as his previous The Force Awakens and previous films. I was hoping a little bit something different, just like the prequels. I think Disney having their handprints all over this film really does. You could tell it's a Disney product. You could tell by looking at where Finn went. You think Finn had so many possibilities of where he could have went. Cool ass possibilities, but they really dropped the ball on that character. The new character Rose coming in was absolutely, I did not like her one bit. I didn't like what they did, the side mission they had for Finn and Rose. I thought that was the most boring aspect of the film. At one point I was kind of falling asleep. At one point in the film where we go to this casino scene, it looked like the prequels, and that was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like I said, there are some moments though here and there where it's actually genius. There's some moments with Luke in the island and what he does for a living, except this one particular scene that people are going to be talking about. But the bad thing is that Rian Johnson really dropped the ball. I think Disney is really looking at. I don't understand why critics absolutely love this film, because the writing is just absolutely terrible by Rian Johnson. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. We spent 2 hours of a ship moving in a snail's pace, and the logic of everything that's going on, especially with General Hux, is kind of idiotic. There is a twist in the film that I absolutely love. There is moments that I absolutely love, but they really tug on the heartstring of nostalgia. This film does not go where you think it's going to go. I get that, and that's great. But this film goes to a place where you shouldn't be going, and it failed on a lot of levels. As much as I want to love this film, I don't love it. As much as I really want to hate this film, I don't hate it with a passion. What I do have is an okay feeling about this film. What this film did to me is not really be enthusiastic or excited for the next film in the entry. It just made me say, okay, I'll go watch the new movie, but I'm not expecting much from it. I really did think Rian Johnson and I really think Disney really dropped the ball on creating something absolutely magical, absolutely Star Wars feeling, but yet I didn't get that feeling of Star Wars. I didn't get it. I did not get it. Yes, sure, the fights are really good. They're pretty good. Some of the characters are cool, but the characters don't really have too much to do in this film, especially the characters coming from The Force Awakens. Captain Phasma, she got shitted on. She was the worst character to get shitted on in this film. So Star Wars: The Last Jedi, is it a horrendous film? I don't think so, because the visuals and a lot of things, moments here and there, really bring the movie up a little bit higher than it should be. But it is absolutely a drop in the ball on Rian Johnson and on Disney's part. So it's sad to say, but Star Wars: The Last Jedi was just an okay film, and I think a lot of people are going to be leaving the theater. A lot of the audience members are leaving the theater conflicted, and they should be. So thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. Like the video if you like it, and comment below. Love to hear you guys' thoughts. And like I always say, grab a seat, make sure you got some good popcorn to eat, because I did. Have a good one. Bye guys.